Right, welcome to Manchester. We're here for the same reason as we were at Rotherham, as why we're going to Oxford next month. We're here because of the cover-up by the government, the council, the police, allowing paedophile Muslim grooming gangs to mess about and try to touch our kids, which will not happen again. People have asked, why are we using the same subject over and over again? Because the same subject hasn't been stopped. They are still grooming our kids, they are still playing with our kids, and they're still ruining their lives. Muslim groomers, not Asians. Pointing out a fact that they are Muslim of Pakistani heritage is not a racist statement, it's an observation of facts. We've got quite a few speakers up today, but first up we're going to have Tim Burton to have a few words.
Good afternoon, EDL! Are we having a good time? I can't hear you! That's better. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to speak in Manchester. It's a great honour. And lots of people who will be speaking today will be talking about specific subjects such as grooming. We know that the grooming phenomenon has not been, but it's only part of the picture. We have had Muslim grooming gangs in Rotherham. We have had Muslim grooming gangs in Rochdale. We have had Muslim grooming gangs in Oxfordshire. And our political elites are struggling to find a common factor. Why is that? It's because if they were to name the common factor, that is to say Islam, they might have to do something about it. And for our political elites who have been used to 50, 60, 70 years of a quiet life, that would never do. And so they are happy to allow our children to be groomed, their lives ruined, without taking any effective steps, even though we all know what is happening. And when I say we, I'm talking about not only the English Defence League and all the other counter-jihad movements, but an awful lot of the English public know this as well. And political correctness and multiculturalism has stopped many of us from being able to speak out about it without losing their jobs, without being called racist, bigoted and Islamophobic. Well, this has got to stop. Grooming is only part of the picture, and the speakers who come on after me will talk about grooming in some detail. And there is no shortage of detail to be spoken about. On my way here today, I spoke to a mother whose daughter had been groomed by Muslims, and she recounted to me the pain and the agony of losing her daughter to Muslim grooming and having her systematically turned against her family, while the police and social services felt unable to do anything about it for fear of being called racist or Islamophobic. Well, it's got to stop. And if we can only speak up and name the problem, it will go a long way to stopping what has been happening. And when I say name the problem, if you talk to any politician, they will say it's nothing to do with Islam. Well, excuse me. Whenever a politician stands up and says it's got nothing to do with Islam, that should make your ears tingle. You can bet your bottom dollar that most likely it is everything to do with Islam. And when I say Islam, I am not talking about radical Islam. I am not talking about militant Islam. I am not talking about fundamentalist Islam. I am not talking about extremist Islam. I am talking about Islam red in tooth and claw. The Islam that 1.6 billion Muslims around the world follow. And when I say this, I am frequently accosted by people on the political left. People on the political left who say that you cannot demonise 1.6 billion Muslims because of the actions of a few. Well, fair enough, not every Muslim is guilty of these crimes. However, they all support the same political ideology. And when I say political ideology, I mean that I am not concerned about the religious aspects of Islam. If a Muslim wishes to pray 5 times a day to a deity, that is none of our concern. Fill your boots is what we should say to that. But when Muslims decide that their ideology should be applied to each and every one of us, that's when we say, hold on one cotton-picking minute. Muslims are free to do whatever they want to do in the privacy of their own homes. But what we have to do is to get Islam out of the public space. Islam has no place in the public space of any 21st century civilized democracy. No place at all. And I'm also accosted by people on the left of the political spectrum who say that we should respect Islam. We should respect Islam as part of the trilogy of Abrahamic religions. Well, let's just look at that for a moment, shall we? The trilogy of Abrahamic religions. If we have to compare Islam with Judaism and Christianity, there are some important factors to take into consideration. Islam does not follow the golden rule. How important is this? Well, it's very important. Islam divides the world into two. There is them and there is us. And no other religion does that. The golden rule says treat your neighbour as you would be treated yourself. Every other religion in the world follows that rule. Islam does not. Therefore, it is wrong to consider Islam in the same category as other religions. We should consider it to be a political ideology. And the speakers who follow me will elaborate on this. When you talk to your friends and your relations and your work colleagues at the end of today and in the weeks to come, and they say, but Islam is a religion of peace, you must use these arguments to say, no, Islam is not a religion of peace. It never has been, and it never will be. Thank you for listening to me today.